And we are live. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to another episode of A Bookish Moment. I am Sarah Burr.
And I am JC Kenny. Welcome to the wonderful month of May. And Sarah, I think it's time to get bookish.
Yes. Oh, and yeah, happy May. Wonderful. Yes. What better way to start the month than by getting
Yes.
bookish? And we have a very special episode this afternoon because we are joined by debut author Laurie
Woo!
Beach. Congratulations, Laurie, on your first book. We're so excited that we could be here to celebrate with you
Yes.
for our viewers who have tuned in. Could you tell us a little bit about yourself as well as the Firefly Jar?
Absolutely. First, Sarah and Jim, thank you so much for having me on. I'm excited to get bookish with you today, especially it's my book,
Yes.
which is a dream come true for me. This book has been in the works for 15 years, and I just cannot believe that it is actually out in the world now. The Firefly Jar is something that's very close to my heart. It was quite the catharsis to write. I started writing it when my youngest children, I have twins. I have 4 kids, but my youngest are twins, and they were about to start kindergarten. And my husband gave me the absolute best advice. He said, "You are about to be given the gift of time. Do something with it you've always wanted to do." And I thought, I have no idea what I want to do. But anyway, long story short, I wrote this book, The Firefly Jar, and I was grieving the loss of my mother at the time. So there is an element of a protagonist who is dealing with grief. She's searching for family. She ends up going to the most unlikely place to try to find it. If you like fish out of water tropes, found family, enemies to lovers, then I think this book might appeal to a lot of people.
I had a phenomenal time reading it. It was, and you could just feel how much of a labor of love that it was. Like your love of the craft as well as your love of these characters just like really, really came out in this beautiful story. I'm so curious how you had mentioned that this has been something that's 15 years in the making. How did Charlotte Sinclair introduce herself to you as well as the amazing setting of Crickley Creek?
Oh boy, there's so much I could say about that because that was such a process. But back when my husband gave me that advice and I didn't know what to do, I thought, um, and I was dealing with grief. I was really looking for some sort of an escape, and like an artistic escape. And I didn't even realize it at the time, but every job that I'd ever had prior had a strong element of writing. And I'd had an experience back in college where I didn't even realize it at the time, but it was an incredibly unique experience and rare experience where I got to go to this small town off the coast of South Carolina with a guy that I was dating at the time. His stepdad, who I just found out last night, actually just recently passed away. And he was a wonderful man. He was a biologist, and he, um, in his studies and his conservation efforts, was allowed to live on these private islands that were owned by Tom Yaki and donated as preserves to the state of South Carolina. And they lived in this amazing antebellum home, and had this incredible love for the area that was imparted to me while I was visiting. So we would go to the creek and with a raw chicken leg and get crabs and flick them into an ice chest, and that was dinner. And there was an alligator named Grover right down the way watching us do this. We went to the beach and we watched loggerhead sea turtles lay eggs, and we would net shrimp for dinner and cook it up and in this home where there were rolling green lawns headed to the Atlantic. And it was just a place that I had never experienced before, didn't even know existed, and it stuck with me. And so when he said that, I thought, I want to write about that place. That is my happy place that I want to escape to. And so when he sort of gave me permission to fill my time with something other than kids and volunteering and taking care of people, I decided I wanted to write about that place, and I gave it a fake name, and made the whole area fictional, but I still didn't really know how to get started. So at the time, I was reading everything Jane Austen. All the spin-offs were out. So I took my favorite one, which is Pride and Prejudice, and I deconstructed it into kind of an outline. And then made up my own characters, because I think if you read it, it's not. If you were looking for Pride and Prejudice, you might see some little pieces, but it really took on a life of its own. But that was just kind of my starting point. Um, and oh, I forget where I was going with that. Anyway, that's how I got started doing it, and it really became something I had no idea that I was going to have such a passion for. But that's the book that I learned on. So in that first year, I wrote it, and then from there, I learned how to write. So I took that and I went online and I started taking classes, and I would submit pieces of that, and I'd share it with people, and they would give me feedback, and I would give people feedback. And I got myself a writing coach, and I sent her bits of that work, and it has been revised I don't even know how many times, but that's the book that I learned on, and the one that I think will always be closest to my heart.
Wow.
Well, I tell you what, kudos to you for sticking with it. And because for a lot of folks who get into the writing gig, it gets a little tough there, as you experienced, and they give up. You didn't. So I tip my hat to you. And I want to know now, with this book out in the world, give us your elevator pitch. Tell us a little bit about it.
Oh gosh, I was afraid you were going to ask me that because I'm terrible at the elevator pitch. Oh, okay. I'm going to give it my best shot to make it, like we're in an elevator, and I'm going to do this really quickly.
Okay.
Tim. It's about a girl who is from California, loses her mother, travels across the country to South Carolina in search of the answer to the mystery of why her mother loved the South so much but refused to return. And when she's there, she is met head on by some Southern nuances that she just doesn't understand, and some people who want to just send her back home.
Okay.
It's a there's an arc to it where she's looking to find family in the most improbable place, and she gets a little more than she bargained for.
I think that was masterfully done, Laurie. I want to talk about, so there are a lot of elements in this novel. You've got the theme of found family. You've got the theme, there's the romantic, entanglements. And another one that really gripped me was the humor in it. There's so much, especially the setting of the South. There is a great deal of, I guess, like sarcasm, but also like people pretending to be nice, but really what they say is one thing, but they mean the other. And there are so many of these like funny, quippy moments that Charlotte both has, especially and the people around her. But one in particular that I just really, really loved, and hope that you can kind of talk about writing this style of humor is it's when Charlotte, she's walking through this beautiful home that she's been invited to, and she is upstairs, she sees the bedrooms, and the line is, people only had beds like that if they had someone else to make them. And these just like really like witty like moments that are captured. Can you talk a little bit about, because I struggle with writing humor a great deal. Can you talk about like the differences between jokes, humor, writing the sarcasm, writing the Southern, I don't even know what you call, but like the Southern hospitality.
Like the colloquialisms. I don't even know. I mean, I have to admit, I was surprised that I was able to come up with anything funny because I'm not a funny person. I think I'm funny sometimes, but nobody else does. But something happens. It's the magic of writing, and I also think just being passionate about the South. I grew up in Alabama. I've been living in California now since I married my husband 28 years ago. And I love California too. But what was really fun about writing this book is I was able to take this Californian and stick her in the South and really highlight sort of the quirks and even the rules of the South that I know from growing up there. So a lot of stuff, especially that comes out of the mouth of the character Birdie,
Oh gosh.
surprised me as I was writing it. I love her. I wish I could be a little bit more like Birdie in my real life, but I don't know how it happens when I'm writing. I just have to be writing her. I have to be her for a little while for it to come out.
Well, before we talk about the amazing supporting characters and their names, like their names are something that I very much want to pick your brain about. I just want to pause and say hello to our folks who are joining us live. We've got Mark who is saying good morning because it's 10 o'clock where he is. So thanks for joining us for maybe a coffee break, Mark. We have Farmhouse Reader and Mizan joining us. Thank you guys. We always love having you here. If you have any questions for Laurie, please feel free to drop them in the chat. But let's get back to your supporting characters and the folks that are around Charlotte. I would love to know how fully formed they came to you. And how you came up with the most like amazing names, because I like everybody in this book has a phenomenal name. I'm like, oh my gosh, like
Oh,
just so like they're. I'd love to know what the process was.
oh, thank you. Well, to be honest, I love to take the names of people that I know and love. And so a lot of the names are from my own life. So Will Rushton. Originally, I wanted to call him Brian because that's my husband's name, but my friends were like, "You cannot name him after your husband." So I gave him my husband's middle name, which is William.
Aw.
So I called him Will, and then so I use a pen name. My real last name is Reese, and I knew a guy in high school. His name was Reese Rushton, and so I thought, oh, so I can do William Rushton, and that's kind of like a hidden code for Brian Reese, which is my husband's name because
Ooh.
about the man I love. So, and honestly, a lot of the Will Rushton character and the Johnny Merritt character in my second book are kind of my husband. I really like him. And Charlotte was just a name that I always liked. As a matter of fact, I liked it so much that I also named my dog Charlotte. Actually, my kids did. And Birdie, that one is just, it's such a quintessentially sort of fun Southern name, Birdie, that I just sort of plucked that one because it was fun. Mudge, I have no idea where that came from. Maybe Fudge. I don't know. That
was when I was like, where did this name come from?
Again, it's the magic of writing. That's
Mhm.
the thing that if there's anybody listening who wants to write and is afraid they can't do it, and as you guys know, as writers, you just have to sit down and get going because that's when the magic happens. If you're just sitting here thinking, okay, I can't come up with a whole book, how am I going to come up with this character? It's just something about sitting down and the act of writing that just brings the flood of ideas.
I
So I
definitely
don't know if that answered the question.
No. I would definitely agree. I think the story about Will's name is one of the cutest things that I've ever heard. And the name Birdie, I've always like, that's just one of my favorite names. Like we almost named our dog Evie Birdie. So that's one, like bringing those characters to life is just always something that I really enjoy learning from other authors. Like, how does this happen for you? Because again, like if you're at a place where you're struggling to write, hearing and especially like hearing where this is your debut novel, how you got to this moment, I think can be really inspiring for folks out there that are still striving to, write the end for the first time.
Yeah. Oh gosh. It's been quite the journey for me. Jim mentioned perseverance before, and I think that's the only reason that I'm here with you today, because I've waited 15 years for this book to be published. And in between, I wrote a lot of other ones. I practiced and practiced and practiced, and I took classes, and I read I read the Idiot's Guide to Writing a Novel, I cover to cover. I have just really immersed myself in the craft because I just discovered a passion I didn't even know I had. And I have tried for years to get an agent, and I have had just a ton of rejections. I've gone to writers conference, I've pitched to them. I've had a couple ask for the full manuscript and then tell me no for different reasons. Um, and the way that I actually found a traditional publisher, which I'm still pinching myself, I literally went to a Christmas jammy party. There was a bunch of women sitting in our pajamas and drinking wine. And I sat next to this wonderful woman named Susie. And we were getting to know each other and talking about what we like to do. And I said, I've written all these novels. They'll never see the light of day, but maybe someday my grandchildren and great grandchildren will enjoy reading them. And she said, "Oh, I love to read. Can I read it?" And I said, "Of course, I'll send it to you." So I sent her an email of the Firefly Jar manuscript, and she read it and quickly and emailed me back and said, "This is fabulous. Why is this not published? And I have a friend in the publishing industry. Would you mind if I sent it to her?" And I was like, "Would I mind?" Please send it to her. And she did, and it was Jane Porter at Thule.
Oh,
And that is
wow.
how I got my contract. And then, Jane wanted two more. So now I've got 3 books coming out this
Excellent.
year. I know, it's unbelievable.
And are they all the same? Are they in the same setting, or is it still
Yes.
following Charlotte's tale, or
Same setting, but so I pluck out a secondary character. So the
mhm.
second book stars Krista. So
Oh,
she's like the
okay.
barista at the coffee shop, and she's her family is sort of the black sheep of that little Crickley Creek community. So book 2 stars Krista, and then book 3 stars a character that I introduce in book 2. Her name is Emma Shea.
Okay. So it's so I can see that the setting is really the driving factor. Is that has that always been the case? Has the place come before the story? Like what was the motivation behind, writing the book in the first place?
Yeah, I've had that question asked before about, which was more motivating, plot or character. And for me, the setting is a character, and the setting, like what I said before about having had that trip to South Carolina to those islands, that is what motivated me to write the book. I sort of wanted to paint a picture of that place
Mhm.
because it's just such a great place to escape to. I think this is sort of the perfect beach read. It's going to have a happy ending. Everything I write is going to have a happy ending because I'm always disappointed if I finish a book and just feel terrible. I want thing, which doesn't mean terrible things don't happen in the book, because you want your character to overcome something and learn and grow from it. Um, but it makes a great just sort of escapism. You'll feel hopefully satisfied when you close the book, and with a little luck, you'll want to read the next ones too.
Well,
Well,
I would agree. I think that you did that. So well done.
Oh, thank you, thank you. I hope
and
so.
speaking of luck, sorry for interrupting, but since our time is running woefully short, unfortunately, I do want to mention to everybody that Laurie has been so kind and is offering a fabulous giveaway package to a lucky commenter. Look at that. Oh, that is a nice bag. Sarah, why don't you give us some of the deets?
Yes, so Lori has generously, she's got like a perfect day at the beach ready for
Yeah.
everybody. A copy of the Firefly Jar, a beach tote, water bottle. It's like a really perfect package.
Mhm.
So, Laurie, if you would like to tell folks what the magic word is for entering into the giveaway, folks, you can begin doing that now, and we'll draw our winner at the end of the show.
Okay, everybody can probably guess what the magic word is. Firefly.
Perfect. So, folks, if you would like to enter into the giveaway and you've joined us live, make sure that you pop into the YouTube chat. Make sure you're logged in. Lori, can you tell us, like, I guess without giving away too much, like, how did the title "The Firefly Jar" come to be the title of this book?
Ah, that's a good question. Um, having lost my mother, there were certain things of hers that uh I were kind of like a talisman for me. I wish I brought it so I could show you, but there was this little clay figurine that she had made, and that was just really special to me. I would hold that and feel a little bit closer to her. And so in the beginning of the book, I have a scene where Charlotte's mother, well, it's one of Charlotte's earliest memories. Her mother is painting fireflies on an old mason jar. And again, this is a mother who's now living in California, has left her tiny town in the South, and nobody really knows why she won't go back. And so the daughter sort of sees that the mother is holding on to these things from the South. And when her mother passes away, that jar becomes very special to her. And so I also use it as a metaphor in some other spots in the story, but that's where the title came from. It was very organic in that way.
Well, and one of the things that I love about the title is the term firefly, because folks may or may not know, living in the Midwest, the term we typically use for fireflies is lightning bugs. And so I just think it's so much fun when you see a book with a title like yours, where there's a term that makes it easy to associate with a specific area. And so I just kind of wanted to share that, because it's like, okay, firefly, it tells me at least right away, it's like, okay, this is set someplace not in the Midwest. So and like you talked about, the colloquialisms and all those other things that you wove into your wonderful setting. So again, well done.
Thank you. I mean, I have to admit, where I grew up in Alabama, we call them lightning bugs too, and that was sort of a sticking point for me. I thought, I really should probably call them lightning bugs. My family's still in the South and they call them fireflies too. So I figured that's okay. I can go either way. And the firefly jar just sounded a lot better than the lightning bug jar.
Yeah.
A book better. So that's why I chose that one. I don't know if I got it right or not, but I have a lot of friends still in the South and nobody's called me out on it. So I think we're okay.
Yeah.
And so you have 3 books in the Crickley Creek series lined up with your publisher. I'm curious. So book 1 has been 15 years in the making. How does it feel going to book 2 and knowing that you have a much shorter amount of time to get it ready to be shared with your readers?
Well, I tell you what, I was a little scared about that because I've never had a deadline before. Am I going to be able to do this? But I loved it. I actually thought it made the process a lot easier to have a deadline because I made it a priority. I didn't feel like this was just a little hobby and potentially a massive waste of time. Although nothing that feeds your soul like this is a waste of time, whether it's published or not. But I was a little worried that I wouldn't be able to do it. But I also have the luxury of being an empty nester. And although I had a career in the beginning, I've been a stay-home mom. So once again, I've been given the gift of time. And I absolutely love having this new career. First of all, that old saying, you'll never work if you do something you love, you'll never work a day in your life. It doesn't feel like work to me. There's nothing I want to do more than sit on the couch with my dog and my laptop and make stuff up. It's absolute joy. So it's not a problem for me to meet deadline. I'm usually ahead. Even when I don't have a book contract, I'm still writing. Um, And who knew? I mean, there's so many people out there who um, haven't even found their passion yet. I did not know this was a passion until I was just given permission to do it. So again, if anybody's watching and you've thought about writing, just sit down and do it, because wow, it can really add to your life in so many ways.
I think that's wonderful advice, and I'm happy to hear that book two has been a engaging and not necessarily a daunting process. I know that folks can kind of feel that way when you have book one and there are these expectations that you feel in your head that you have to meet. But if you can channel Laurie and the passion that you love writing with, I think that's a great way to view it. So great advice, Laurie.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess one other thing, and unfortunately our time is again running short. We're almost at the bottom of the hour. Laurie, you're a new author, and again, congratulations on your debut. Where can folks find the Firefly Jar? And then where can folks find you if they want to like sign up for your newsletter or follow you on social media? How about some of that info?
Okay, I do have a website. It's lauriebeach.com. I have a second one too, but they're linked together. It's beachread.net, just because I thought that was cool. Beach is my grandmother's maiden name. So I took that as my pen name. You can find me on Instagram and TikTok as Beach Author, on Facebook as Laurie Beach, on Twitter as Laurie Beach, although I'm hardly ever on Twitter. Find me on Facebook. That's what I know.
That's good. That's a good thing to always kind of let folks know, because you can usually find everybody somewhere online. But if folks want to engage and interact with you, it sounds like Facebook is the place to be.
Yes, and I love doing little giveaways of my own. So follow me on Facebook if you just like giveaways, because sometimes I'll randomly do that just because I love collecting little things especially with like the last name Beach as an author. I love doing little beachy things.
I love beach reads. That's such a great and perfect for a day at the beach. Like it comes together so nicely. And who doesn't love a giveaway? So folks, make sure that you find Laurie on Facebook.
Free is good.
Thank you. I think free is good too.
And so Laurie, you've got book two in the works. Does it have a title yet? Are you able to share the title?
Well, book two and book three are already done.
Oh, wow.
And book two is coming out in July, and book three is coming out in October. So book two,
you're in for a whirlwind year then.
I am. It's super
exciting.
Yeah, book three is a Christmas book. So that'll be there just in time for Christmas. I'm so excited about that one too, because just some great ideas came. Book two, I'm already getting reviews on, because I sent it out to the advanced team, and they seem to like it. Which is, I'm telling you, I can't even sleep at night because I'm so excited about that. It seems to be resonating just like book one. So fingers crossed that book three will also. But yeah, they're all done and in the bag and ready for the world.
Excellent. Well, more to look forward to, and hopefully you'll come visit us again, so we can talk about not being a debut author anymore and having more books out in the world. So before we wrap up our show today, again, Laurie, it's been delightful speaking with you. The time always flies when we have these moments.
Yes.
But the biggest congratulations to you. The Firefly Jar is such a wonderful book, and I highly encourage. It is the perfect book to read at the beach. I'm unfortunately was reading it in cold and like the dead of winter, and it's like, maybe not the greatest surroundings, but like the warmth that it filled me with, like definitely was special. So for our bookish viewers, definitely check it out. For our giveaway winners, though, for the wonderful Beach Day bundle that Laurie has put together, drum roll please, our winner for today is user Farmhouse Reader. Congratulations.
Hi.
So Farmhouse Reader, you've won before, you know the drill. I think I actually have your information I can pull and send on over to Laurie. So I will follow up with her for you. But yeah, that like brings us our bookish moment is drawing to a close. Again, folks, make sure that you find Laurie on Facebook, visit her website, pick up her book, The Firefly Jar, and Laurie, thank you for spending a moment with us. It's a delight to talk with new authors and new to us authors as well. So again, congratulations and thank you so much for being here.
And thank you both so much for having me. I enjoyed every second.
Great. Well, that's what we love to hear. And for our viewers who were able to join us live, thank you guys so much for taking some time out of your schedule to spend a bookish moment with us. We'll be back with a new episode of the Bookish Hour this week at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Thursday, May 5th, 4th?
I thought we weren't getting together until the 11th.
We've got our first international guest coming, Jim.
Oh, that's right. My bad.
Yeah. So Thursday we will see everybody. We're so excited. International guest is a pretty big deal. So I hope that you guys will all join us, either catch us live or catch us later. And until then, stay bookish. Have a great rest of the day, everybody. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, folks.